my life, in my relationships, really just focusing on winning in arguments all the time. And then you get older, and the thing that you start to realize is the cost of winning is you losing the relationship with the person. And very rarely is that cost ever worth it in life. So I think a part of having empathy is really seeking to understand and connect with someone. And sometimes that's going to mean that arguments, not to say that you're not always going to win them, but rarely are arguments ever actually conducive to that. Certainly winning an argument is very not conducive to the other person feeling seen and understood and connected with.
Learning more about other people's experiences is a key element to seeing the world through someone else's eyes. But it is also important to open up about your own feelings and experiences. Empathy is a two-way street that at best is built upon mutual understanding. Through a combination of uncovering the deeper motivations of someone else's position and expressing our own underlying concerns, we often discover a shared commonality, even with those who hold different beliefs than ours. Through the practice of keeping an open mind, empathy helps us challenge prejudice, find commonality, and expand our moral universe. Without it, we are apt to label people outside our circle as the other, the problem, or the enemy. These labels draw lines in the sand that prevent us from moving forward or growing.
Oof, man, and I know so many people who are kind of judgmental in that way of, seeing other people or people that they're in a relationship with or whatever as the enemy. And I think that's a sign when you engage in that kind of what's called black and white thinking. I am good, this person is bad. That's really a signal that you've stepped away from your empathy a lot, right? Because there's no one human being that's all good or all bad. And most people are pretty decent, some flaws, but some good things about them also, right? And so if you're really in that black and white space of this person's my enemy, this person is different from me, this person's a problem, it's probably that you're really, really disconnected from your empathy and compassion. And so I want to make that invitation. If you're someone who struggles with feeling like you have a lot of enemies, kind of take a step back and evaluate these people that you feel like you're your enemies and think, this person's a human being like me, and I'm a human being. I'm probably not the only moral, healthy, good, honest human being that exists. There's been a time in my life where I was like, I am the only good human being. Everybody else is pure evil. I don't know what I'm doing here. I was just really caught in that very deeply misanthropic place. And sometimes that there can be a little bit of truth to that, though, because if we're really surrounded by a lot of toxic, negative people, sometimes we can be the most moral, good, kind-hearted people in our circle. And oftentimes that's more of a thing that's on us, right? Of like, oh, well, yeah, I mean, you're going to have a hard time with distrusting people and distrusting their honesty and loyalty and that they want what's best for you if everyone that you allow around you is a toxic, unhealthy person. So I've definitely had times in my life where I've had to sit back and really separate, actively make the decision to spend less time with certain individuals in my life who I viewed as toxic and unhealthy. And I'm talking family members, friends. I've ended relationships with people that are just like, I think this person is a toxic human being. And often it's really easy to tell because often toxic people are surrounded by other toxic people. And so if you know someone and you're like, is this person toxic? Or are they, a pretty decent human being? Kind of look at their friend group. If everyone else in their family is toxic, if all of their other friends are kind of toxic, then it's usually a pretty good indication that, yeah, this person's a toxic person and maybe I should put a little bit of distance. You can still have empathy and compassion for whatever it was that happened in that person who makes their life that way. This is another thing that we'll talk about in a future video, is not going too far, right, with compassion and empathy. Being able to set healthy boundaries with people, because I can have compassion and empathy for someone that for someone and have compassion for whatever traumatic or negative experiences they've had in life that make them that way, while also still setting healthy boundaries and being like, hey, you're not going to yell at me, you're not going to disrespect me, like, this is my boundary, right? So I think compassion plus boundaries. I had a cute little post that I made on my Instagram the other day. An empath with boundaries is a superpower. I really strongly believe that. So many people are like, oh, in order to have boundaries, I need to be like this Andrew Tate, like big tough guy who's just like an asshole to everybody. And you know, I gotta be a shark, man. It's like not Moneyball. What's the other? Oh, Wolf of Wall Street. I was like that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio on it. You know, I gotta be like a shark. I gotta be tough. That's the only way to not get taken advantage of people. Those people have such awful, disconnected, lonely lives. The people that need to be like alpha and tough and, you know, need to be sharks and dominant and all that stuff. They tend to unfortunately be really lonely people because the only people that they have around them are usually people that are just with them like transactionally, right? Not actually with them because they like them, with them because they get something out of being around them. And usually they're people that they have around them are just as toxic as that person themselves. On the flip side, you don't want to be like a nice guy doormat, which I think is also a trope that we've cultivated in society, especially with men, right? You're either a toxic, super macho dude bro, or you're this like weak, sniveling, you know, dad bod guy that everyone's making fun of, right? I think the secret to life is in the shades of gray, and I think the place to be is right there in the middle, right? Where you're healthy, insecure, and you're compassionate, but you're also able to set boundaries with people and enforce them when need be, you know? And sometimes that can include distancing yourself from unhealthy people. So, but I still want to make an invitation. If you find yourself often viewing people as the enemy, you can view someone as maybe kind of toxic or unhealthy for you to be around and put space and distance. But if you're in that space of that person's the enemy, they're pure evil, if you're in that black and white thinking space, I invite you to take a step back and kind of get more in touch with your empathy and compassion.
It cuts us off from the realization that the human experience is a shared experience. We have much more in common than we think and are really just seeing small variations of the same reality.
Very true. Can we just watch the video about the dog, guys? I know it's not about compassion, but let's watch it anyway. I need to get some water. My throat is killing me here. Give me 1 second, guys. I'll be right back. Ooh, okay. Ooh, made a smoothie earlier, and I feel like it's giving me acid reflux or something. Okay, let's watch the next video, shall we? Brene Brown. So this is Brene Brown. I'm sure probably many people have heard of her. Ooh, sounds like it's gonna be loud. She's a super well-known author. Talks about mental health, leadership, compassion, empathy, all the time. I really like. Is this the video? Yes, I really like this video on empathy. I've seen this at least 1 million times over my career. I've seen it in like a lot of places that I'll hop on for work. Anyway, I really like this video, so. Turn it up just a smidge here.
So what is empathy? And why is it very different than sympathy? Empathy fuels connection. Sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy, it's very interesting. Teresa Wiseman is a nursing scholar who studied professions, very diverse professions where empathy is relevant, and came up with 4 qualities of empathy. Perspective taking, the ability to take the perspective of another person or recognize their perspective as their truth. Staying out of judgment, not easy when you enjoy it as much as most of us do.
It's hard, y'all.
Recognizing emotion in other people and then communicating that. Empathy is feeling with people. And to me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed. And then we look and we say, hey, climb down. I know what it's like down here, and you're not alone. Sympathy is, ooh, it's bad, no, you want a sandwich? Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response.
I like that. There's like a shared vulnerability there of like when someone shares something with you really vulnerably and like, hey, I'm really struggling right now, or this is what's going on in my life. Being able to kind of come out from our own walls that we often hide behind on a day-to-day basis and be like, I've had that too, and it fucking sucks, and you're not alone. You know, I know exactly how you're feeling. And doing it from a space of not trying to like one-up someone of like, oh yeah, you lost your job? Well, I've lost 2 jobs, you know, that kind of thing. Because I think oftentimes it's not empathy at all. That's our own like ego coming up. But I think really being able to like step out and say, yeah, I've totally been there, and it fucking sucks, and that sucks that you're going through that, because I've been through that before, and I know how awful that is, and I really care about you, and I hate that for you.
Response begin with at least. I had a, yeah. And we do it all the time, because you know what? Someone just shared something with us that's incredibly painful, and we're trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as one. We're trying to put the silver lining around it. So I had a miscarriage. Oh, at least you know you can get pregnant. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least you have a marriage. John's getting kicked out of school. At least Sarah is an A student. But one.
Yo, anybody got anyone in their life that does this kind of thing? I know, oh man. I feel like that's such an old school way of approaching things. I really feel like it's a toxic positivity thing. I've had people in my lives where you try to share stuff with them and they're just so uncomfortable with your negative emotions that they just immediately do that, like discounting of like, oh, it's not that bad. Oh, it'll turn up. Oh, everyone goes through things. Oh, you know. Yo, what's up, Flame? Congrats on being the first commenter of the night. Flame is the first commenter of the stream. Congratulations, you're now 20% cooler for being first. What's up, my man? How is life going? Welcome in, man. We're talking about empathy and compassion today. So, this is Brene Brown. I don't know if you're familiar with him or with her. I love her stuff. I actually just did. I'm in the middle of this like self-development, like figure out your goals and dreams in life and crafting the life of your dreams group run by this chick that I went to a retreat for last month. And I was just doing this Brene Brown like list of core values in life. There's just so many cool like books and activities and stuff that Brene Brown has done. I love her stuff.
One of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversations is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I'd rather you say, I don't even know what to say right now. I'm just so glad you told me. Because the truth is, rarely.
You got platinum trophy for Dark Souls Remastered. You want 100% of the game? Wow, dude, that's so crazy. Damn. Yo, I know when I played Dark Souls, I was the same way. I think every single Dark Souls game I've ever played, I always put in more than like 200 hours. I don't know if I've ever 100%ed though. That's crazy. Jeez. So you finally beat Dark Souls 1, huh? What did you think of it? So I'm guessing if you 100% of it, then you've probably done both the ramped and the, what is it, Kath? Is that his name? The evil one, the Kath ending, right? You've done the Dark Lord ending and the Stoke the Fire ending, right? Which one did you like best?
Can a response make something better? What makes something better is connection.
Nice, both endings. What builds did you? So I'm guessing if you did, you probably did. Oops, that's very loud. You probably did like multiple playthroughs, right? What builds did you do? I know you said you had like a faith. Didn't you say you had a faith strength build? That was your first build. I know we need to play some Dark Souls on stream sometime. I still have Dark Souls Remastered on Steam, man. Still one of my favorite games of all time is Dark Souls 1. All the other ones are pretty good too. But man, I have so many fond memories of Dark Souls 1. I love that game. I could probably play the entire thing blindfolded.
I make a distinction between empathy and compassion. So empathy I say is a skill set. It can be taught, learned, observable,
I was just trying to think
measurable.
about that. What's the difference?
It's really, I think, a skill set, or it's a collection of skill sets. Compassion, I think, is more of a belief system.
Yeah.
That we have to commit to about how we're going to treat ourselves and other people.
Yeah, kind of like I was mentioning, compassion is kind of more of a general feeling of wanting the best for others and humanity in general, whereas empathy is kind of an active skill that we can cultivate. Yep, and the stamina stat. I was half lol. That's funny. Yo, what's up, Alpha Gamer? How goes it, dude? How's your Friday night going? Man, the gang's all here, huh? Dang, you just missed stealing first from Flame, dude. Come on, man. You're slacking on the job here.
And so it was really funny. I had this like mound o data.
It's huh? How you hanging in there? I know that you got unfortunate news about stuff with the military. How's that hitting you?
I called it the compassion smackdown. Like I was like, these incredibly compassionate people, like so compassionate that.
Guys, I'm gonna do a wrestling stream. Are we down for that? Just show up in a leotard and just skin tight clothing and just wrestle people on stream. You guys interested in watching that?
They bugged me a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they bugged me. They did. They didn't even have any fun, judgy stuff that, you know, we all like in ourselves and other people, except for when it's aimed at us, of course. But so I was like, what do they have in common? I assumed that what compassionate people shared in common was faith or spirituality.
And?
You know what they share in common?
What is it?
Boundaries.
Boundaries.
Interesting.
Boundaries.
I like that.
What do you mean by boundaries?
That's what I asked. Compassionate people have very clear boundaries that they insist are respected.
Oh, speaking of which, since Flame and Alpha, you guys are both here. Have you guys tried Marvel Rivals at all? I've been playing it lately. It's like super fun. Honestly, I think I enjoy playing it more than I enjoy playing Overwatch. Overwatch is, of course, still a phenomenal game, but man, I've been playing me some Marvel Rivals, and it is phenomenal.
They respect other people's boundaries, but they also have their own boundaries, and they're very clear about what's okay and what's not okay, and they enforce that with the people in their lives.
I like that. Boundaries. So having, kind of talking into what we mentioned at the beginning of the stream, having compassion, but not going too far. So respecting other people's boundaries and respecting your own boundaries, I think, is the key to doing compassion and empathy right. Like, I'm not codependent. I'm not a doormat. I'm not caring about your well-being so much that I'm just getting walked on by everybody around me, but I'm also not a cold, callous, heartless monster, right? Oh, Flame, you've tried it? Tried Wolverine. It's like Overwatch. Yeah, I know. It really feels like an Overwatch clone. I'm really curious to see if in the long run it ends up killing Overwatch, because I think Overwatch is just... It's a great game, but it's just been the same game for so long. And I know some people that were like, Overwatch 2 was a massive difference from Overwatch 1. I'm sure some people will probably agree with me, but like... Yeah, I feel like Marvel Rivals feels like Overwatch, but even with like the team ults and stuff like that, I think it adds enough to the formula that I'm curious if people will like move on to it permanently.
It's not just blanket compassion.
And the game's also like super rock solid. It's like the gameplay is very tight. Graphics are great. I really do feel like it could be an Overwatch killer.
It is blanket compassion.
It is.
Predicated by boundaries.
I know. I was thinking that the other day too. What heroes they'll add later on. What is the Marvel Rivals? I don't even know what other good. I've never been like a super hardcore Marvel nerd. I mean, I've probably seen way too many of the MCU movies. Do they not just have like a giant character select screen? Bro, this is awful. What? I mean, this is cool, like the individual pages or whatever, but like, bro, you need to have like a giant character select screen like it's Marvel versus Capcom or something. What is this? Also, I did not know anything about Penny Parker. I love the fact that she's like people think that she's like a Diva clone, but like she actually plays like completely different than Diva. She's like so complicated. So redeem, ask for advice. Oh, I thought I had a little notification there. Dang. Not really advice, but MEPs say I have adjustment disorder. What does that mean, and how does it affect someone? Ooh, that's interesting. What is adjustment disorder? I'm actually not familiar with that. I don't believe like it's an actual... Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Ooh, that must be like new to the DSM. Because I've taken psychopathology before. So, yeah, adjustment disorder, a reaction to a stressful event or life change that's considered unhealthy or maladaptive, can manifest as emotional or behavioral changes, also known as a stress response syndrome or situational depression. That's what I've actually heard of it, known as situational depression. So, back in the day, therapists often saw people that would say they're struggling with depression, and then they'd say, what's going on in your life that makes you feel that way? And there'd be two camps of people. There'd be camps of people that there was some clear, obvious event that would be responsible for, say, like anxiety or depression. And then there were people that did not have a clear and obvious case. And so you could maybe make an argument of like, this person's just biologically hardwired to be depressed. I hate that argument, honestly, but a lot of people believe in the biology. Your brain has a lack of feel-good chemicals. Or maybe the person's just had like generally a lot of trauma in their life. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I've come through a lot of trauma myself, and so oftentimes I do have, like for a long time in life, I just had this baseline mild depression all the time. It's called dysthymia nowadays. Tony the Taco, what's up, man? How goes it? We're now officially talking about adjustment disorder, which is not something I'm super familiar with, but welcome in, my dude. How goes it? But yeah, so I would say, to answer your question, Alpha, adjustment disorder, really think of it as, it used to just be called situational depression. So if you've had like changes in sleep, nightmares, insomnia, if you've had any kind of weight gain, lack of interest in stuff like suicidal thoughts and ideations, spike in substance use, or, using unhealthy or maladaptive coping mechanisms, that might land. So you went into MEPS and they said that they thought it? Is it a permanent thing? No, it's not a permanent thing. So they call it adjustment disorder because it's just like some negative life circumstance that happened. I know you pretty well, so, you know, are you familiar with what you think probably caused it? If not, I can definitely tell you, but I'd imagine you probably know what it is. And so typically when we have something that's really negative in our life, like a breakup or a death in the family or a loss of a job or, you know, getting kicked out of school or doing really bad in school, it can trigger this like little episode of depression of like, oh man, that really sucks that happened. So yeah, death of a loved one, divorce, relationship problems, even sometimes adjusting to a new city or a new place, that sort of thing. Catastrophes, difficulty at work, school, financial challenges. Let's see. Tony says, I stumbled upon your channel a few days ago and was immediately drawn in by the name. That's when I decided to follow you. Awesome, man. Well, welcome in. Yeah, I mean, we talk about mental health stuff. Kind of started the channel about 6 months ago in my own recovery journey for my own stuff. I had a really negative life event that tossed me into some situational depression. And yeah, but I've worked in the mental health field for like 5 years, and I do mental health coaching now and that sort of thing. So welcome in, my dude. You're also totally free if you're interested in this kind of thing and you want to hang out with other people that are interested in mental health. First off, thank you for the follow. You're also more than welcome to join the Discord as well. Lots of people hanging out in there talking about mental health stuff. Need some mental peace. I like that. What makes you say that? Anything going on in your life lately? But yes, I think we could all use some more peace in our life for sure. I'm trying the Navy and they brought it up. Interesting. So, okay, so you were trying to join the Army and then they turned you away when you went to MEPS, because the thing that we don't have to talk about. You've talked about it previously, but I'll respect your privacy. And then you tried the Navy, and then how did that conversation go? Tony says, oh, sure. Well, you're more than always welcome to share here. We're pretty mental health friendly, so everything that's talked about here stays on stream. Try to be a safe space for people to talk about their stuff. We've talked about some like really heavy stuff before, so send you a private message why the Army turned me down. Okay, cool. Yeah, no worries, man. Feel free. But yeah, so that's adjustment disorder. Yeah, I've heard of it called situational depression way back when I was in grad school, but I guess they changed the name of it. What were we talking about? Oh, Marvel Rivals. Hold on. Now I need to hold on. Marvel Rivals. Tony, you play any kind of games at all? Marvel Rivals characters. I just want to see. Do they have tier lists out already? Oh my god. Game's been out for like a week and they're like, oh my god. Tiers, bro. Stop using try-hard characters. Yeah, what other kind of cool characters could they put in this game, honestly? I'm super happy that it launched with Venom. I'm like such a Venom fanboy. Moon Knight's kind of cool. I'm glad that they had him in the game. I'm sure they had him in the game because that Pedro Pascal TV show that they had for a while that like totally bombed. Punisher. Oh, dude, they had this cool skin in the shop for Punisher. Oh my god, I hopped on that so fast. It's like, take my money, Marvel. It's the edgelord in me still. We're on to healthier days, but still have the acidic taste of a angsty 13-year-old, y'all. Let's see. Alpha says, so far the Navy is going good. I was able to put a lot of paperwork in explaining why I did what I did, and now it's just a waiting game. Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I think if you're pretty flexible about which branch you join, then yeah, I totally think it'd be worth going to another branch and seeing if they'll let you in. So, do you have to like I'd imagine you don't have to like go through MEPS and everything again, do you? Like, you don't have to take the BAB and stuff, do you? See, Tony says you're creating really great content related to mental peace. Most streamers here just game, so we need a place where we can find mental peace. Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, I also do game stuff for sure. Yeah, I think the video game community, it's so common for people to be struggling with their mental health. Like, I know it's really common for people who struggle with depression and anxiety to really use games as a way to cope, and oftentimes like to escape the problems going on in their life. So I've definitely been that guy before in my life. When life was going bad, I really just tried to check out in video games and anime and all kinds of stuff. And so yeah, now that I'm kind of getting back into the world of mental health, I really wanted to create a place for people to come in and talk about their stuff and get support. I'll always be kind of a nerd, so I think Twitch and the gaming community is always a place that I'll feel at home, but I think bringing something new besides just playing video games on stream all the time is something that I'm really passionate about, though we do play some games on stream. Let's see, we watch this. Okay, cool.